So we're talking about Jordan Peele's movies because we just watched Us.
Yeah, we watched Get Out several months ago.
Yes. So Shelby and I had seen Us previously, but this was Emily's first viewing. First impressions.
What?
What? There was a lot of screaming.
Yeah, there was a significant amount of screaming. I'm usually pretty good at like reining that in and like bottling it up and like not releasing it. But just tonight I was just not having it. I was doing a lot of screaming. Yeah.
I found it like if you make the movie, that's the reaction you want.
Yeah.
Is people be like, oh shit, oh no, and I mean it wasn't like it was unreasonable. You were definitely screaming during parts where like you ought to have been screaming.
I was cussing a lot. I had a lot of cussing.
I realized that like you specifically process by like asking anxiety questions.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, just don't answer her. And she'll just keep going and it's fine.
So I guess I would like to think that maybe I'm just a really good movie watcher because I ask the question immediately before it's answered. And I think that's how they want you to do it. Like, they set it up so you're thinking, oh, what's happening? Like, you're asking the question right at the beginning of the scene, and then you get to the end of the scene and the question is answered. So I'm sure it's annoying to you guys, but I'm probably just, like, watching the movie correctly.
Once I decided that I didn't have to answer you, then I was fine with it. Because before that I was like, do I answer her truthfully, even though that might spoil some things? What if I don't remember the answer to this question? Or I can't even really articulate it, and I was like, you know what, just let her go, and then it was fine.
I didn't mind, except for there was like 5-minute period where it was like nonstop. and it seemed like you really expected me to answer you, and I was like, I'm not gonna answer you.
Oh, by the way, spoilers for both Get Out and Us. Us came out in 2018, is that right? 2019? February. And I remember it so well because that was the first day that we got boba tea.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was so nice. It was such a like nice day. And I was like, oh my god, I love this movie. I love boba tea. I'm so happy.
I wasn't there for that.
No, you were not. So, God, there's so much to talk about.
It's a really good movie.
It's such a good movie. It's so good. It's better on like multiple watching. Because I remember the first time we watched, especially with the subtitles, the first time we watched it was in theaters, and obviously there were no subtitles, and I was like, I don't really get it. Like, I don't know if I really understand it, but this time I got it a lot better, and I understood it a lot better because of the subtitles. But yeah.
There are a few questions that I don't think could be answered.
Yeah. The first time I watched it, I was like, Get Out is like, it's a horror movie with elements of science fiction that are like just past our current technology, but are plausible, right? Like we could believe in a brain transplant. That makes sense to us.
Yeah.
Or like deep hypnosis to the point of like suppressing a personality or something. Like that's fine. This is like out of fucking left field.
Oh yeah, no.
You're like, what the fuck is this? And but upon subsequent watchings, I determined that it is actually more like sci-fi than I had originally thought. But yeah, it's definitely like, wow, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah. But I think I've decided, like, because when we first were talking about it that day, we were kind of like, you know, the suspension of disbelief is like a little bit far. It's a bit of a reach. There's a lot of unanswered questions. There's a lot of like quote unquote plot holes. But what I've decided upon watching it again is I don't fucking care. It's so good that I don't care.
Yeah.
It does what it needs to do as a movie, and it doesn't have to explain everything to me.
Yeah.
And so it's so good that I don't care.
Yeah.
My main question is why was the entrance to the upside down? That's the only way I can describe it. In this like mirror house in Santa Cruz.
Have you ever been to Santa Cruz?
I think I have, but I never saw that bitch.
God, I'm trying to remember the last time we went to Santa Cruz as a family.
I think I may have gone with my COS choir.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That wasn't that long ago. 2017.
2-3 years.
Yeah. I love Santa Cruz, and the marketing for this movie was wild. Like, there was just ads everywhere, and it was amazing. It was great marketing, and it lived up to the marketing, which is, like, extremely rare, especially for a horror movie. I love Santa Cruz, and it's not even necessarily the boardwalk, it's the culture of the city. The city's, like, the biggest hippie city, the most hippie city of any city I've ever been to. Everybody there is like, we don't wear shoes, we don't wear shirts, we're white and we have dreadlocks, and we smoke a lot of weed, and we're just really happy, and it's nice. But
can't relate.
So I was I was excited when this movie was taking place in Santa Cruz, and I believe Jordan Peele is from Oakland also. So yeah, so he would be like super familiar, and there were shots that I was like, yeah, that was shot on the boardwalk. Like, I've stood there.
I was really curious. I was thinking when they were first going into the Upside Down, like, is that what it would look like underneath the boardwalk, like a city? Like, I know it's probably not.
Which part?
Like, when she first goes down.
It's like a boiler room?
Yeah.
I think that was supposed to be, like, under... Sorry, I have hair in my mask, so I'm, like, itching my face. I think that was supposed to be under the, like, attraction, which would make sense to me because it has to be able to move pieces and have, like, lights and stuff.
Yeah.
But once she gets down, and that sequence is so great because you're so focused on, like, her going from corner to corner to corner with the poker and, like, the tension of it, like, expecting somebody to jump out, that, like, there are several times where I'm like, oh my god, she is, like, descending. Like, she's going so deep, and it's not until you get to the escalator that you're like, wow, I wasn't watching where she was going at all.
Yeah.
I'm just, like, going along with it, and then suddenly she's like,
she's not gonna die.
500 feet underground. I'm like, oh, this is not supposed to be here. What's happening?
Yeah.
I like how creepy it is when she does get to...
Why was there an escalator? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Why wasn't it just a normal staircase?
It's an interesting question. And when she gets down there, I like that it looks like the Manchester Mall. Like, it's so dead, and it's just filled with rabbits. Also, did nobody else notice there is not a single piece of rabbit poop anywhere? And I was like, this is not realistic. Alright, we've gone far off course. What is Jeremiah 11:11?
Oh, yeah, okay. Love it. Love to read it. I don't need it.
I love how she's like, we've gotten so far off course. What is this obscure Bible thing
Bible
from
verse.
the movie?
Okay. From the King James Bible. Therefore thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape, and though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them.
Creepy. That's pretty creepy.
It is a really good example of taking Bible quotes and just
Fucking with them?
I mean, this
Out of
that
context.
is, like, out of context, but also people do it
Applies.
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to say one thing that I noticed on rewatching for sure is the level of parallels. Like, everything's in twins.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Jason, who's constantly wearing a mask. He's got the two faces.
Mm-hmm.
The scissors are like a dual-bladed weapon.
Oh my god.
Yes. It's everywhere. If you're looking
The
for
twins.
an 11:11.
The twin girls.
The twin girls.
So that's what I was saying. What I thought, like, 3/4 of the way through the movie, after the twins had already been dead and completely, like, irrelevant for the past, like, 10 minutes, was I thought they added the twins specifically so you wouldn't be like, oh, everybody just has twins, and one of the twins is taken away, because I think that's kind of a trope sometimes. But they added the twins where they were like, no.
Like an evil twin?
Yeah, this isn't an evil twin thing, because twins have twins.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
That's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of, like, doubles of things, or, yeah, that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think of more examples. But yeah, there's a lot of, like, dualism. It's just great. It's like, the person who made this clearly cared a lot about these ideas.
And that's, like,
so rare.
It happens maybe once every 3 years in a movie. Like,
yeah!
These days.
Of all the and not even the movies that we've seen, just every movie that's ever made.
Yeah. So rare.
So, can I just say that when we started the movie, I don't know if, like, this is true of, like, how everybody's, like, watched the movie, or if I'm just naturally, we've already decided that I'm just naturally really good at picking out, like, the last detail of the movie, like, the twist. From the beginning, I knew that they had switched.
Damn it!
So,
that was going to be my question.
Hear me out. The opening sequence happened, her eyes go wide, and I'm like, that bitch is not fucking her. Mom pulls up, and actually, like, at the very first time I saw Mom, I was like, is that a child? Because he saw her sleeping in the car.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, is that one of the children?
She's very pretty and very young looking.
And it actually took me like, I don't know, 3 minutes to realize that was the person on the cover of the thing. But anyway, we got into the part where she's telling the story of the little girl, and at this point I'm like, fuck, maybe they didn't switch. Maybe I was wrong. And it took me up until like the reveal at the end of the movie to fully realize, oh no, I was right. They didn't switch. Ha! Bitch, I was right. You got me there for a minute, but I was right.
Yeah, the first time we watched it, I remember that I felt something when Jason's double is dying, and she's like, no. I was like, that's kind of strange, like in the back of my head, but I didn't like put it together until, I think it was the reveal. Or it was like either the reveal or right before it, where I was like, "Oh my god!"
Well, and honestly, like I didn't get why the little boy Jason was afraid of her.
Oh yeah.
When she like goes to him, and she's like, "My baby," and until the whole thing happened, the whole reveal happened, and I was like, "How the fuck did this kid piece this together?"
Yeah.
How the fuck did this kid piece this together?
I think they were trying to imply, because it happens when she kills the twin in the white people's house.
He's watching her.
And he's watching her, and she does this weird, like, grunt thing when she kills them. And then she does it again when she kills her double.
And she's pretty ruthless about killing them. She is. Well, and it's an interesting topic is she's the tether. And the original, obviously, Abby is in the Upside Down, but it's interesting. It's an interesting discussion of like born evil or made evil, because you would think that all the people in the tether are evil, but then I would like to go back and watch the scene. And we're not going to do this tonight, but I would like to go back and rewatch the scene specifically where she's telling the story of the girl in the shadow, because I want to hear if she like drops hints about them switching places. But it's an interesting like concept. Was Abby just like born evil, and like when she was put in the tether, it was her opportunity to like act upon that by being ruthless and murdering all the people in the sky world. Or I don't know. Like, had it not been her, do you think that? I guess my question is, was it specifically Abby that this happened to, that caused all of this to happen, or if it was another human that this had happened to, where their tether had replaced them, would this have happened? Would this have occurred?
That's a good question. Yeah.
Or is she just like naturally like evil? And I don't think that humans are good or evil. It's all shades of gray. And I personally think that it's all learned, which she was explaining all the things that she went through in the Upside Down. I was like, well, yeah, I would be pretty upset about that too.
Yeah. I wanted to hear what Emily thought about the acting, because essentially you've got like a dual cast, right? You've got everyone playing two roles.
I love that.
It's so nice, and some of them, like, everyone was great, but some just shone so much. Like, I'm thinking specifically, obviously, Lupita she's phenomenal. Yeah. But then also the girl who plays that character when she's young. At first you're like, oh, she's a cute kid, but then when you get to the end, you're like, god damn. Yeah. Because she has to look so evil. Yeah. And
she does it.
Also,
she accomplished it.
She looks so good. Yeah. And without saying a word.
Because she never has a line.
Yes.
She doesn't have a single line.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. She doesn't. She does before they switch. She does have a couple. Just a couple, though. Not a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah. After that, obviously, she doesn't until she's an adult.
Well, and you know what? So when they were getting to the part when they were near the beginning, when they were talking about how she like got mute after leaving, I was like, that's because she doesn't know how to speak, because she's a tether. Yeah. She's a tether. Mm-hmm. And I like thought about it when we got to the part where they showed up. The Tether family showed up with real Abby, and they started attacking.
I'm
Tether
sorry.
Abby.
Stop. Are you saying Abby with a B?
What is it?
Abby with a D.
I don't fucking know. I've just seen it once. So I wasn't watching
subtitles.
I wasn't reading the subtitles. I just want to call her mom, okay?
Just call her mom.
Okay, and then she's telling the story with this weird, freaky voice, and I was like, I wonder how she learned how to talk. The others don't know how to talk.
Yes.
Yeah, she's the only one who talks, and she's the only. And I kept waiting for any other tether to talk, but none of them were, and I was like, huh, interesting. And then she started talking about God at the end, and I was like, I still hadn't quite figured it out. You know, like I had at the beginning that I knew it, and I'm just rambling now. I knew at the beginning that it swapped, and then I wasn't sure, and then we got to the end, and it took me until the very reveal to figure it out. But I was like, they have God in the tether?
The tether have God.
Do tether have God?
God, if anyone doesn't need God, it's probably them. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to kind of figure out. I kind of forgot about all that, how much they mentioned God. She mentions him like 3 times.
Yeah, she does.
And I was trying to figure out like the commentary. And I don't know for sure if there is something. I mean, I think there's something. I don't know if it's like super intentional. It wasn't the main point of the movie, but.
Well, it's interesting because are they just saying that Addie is like real Addie was like really well versed in the Bible because she sees Jeremiah 11:11 right before she's abducted into the tether, and then she like spends the next 30-something years
a captive.
Yeah, wondering about why God put her there or whatever, and then she uses that. Does she like know the verse by heart as a child, or was it just?
I think that's just for us. But I think but I do think that like there's something to be I mean, I feel like the age that she was, you would like have an awareness of like that there is a God, or that your family thinks there is a God rather. So I don't know. I don't know how intentional you know what else I was gonna ask about too is I don't really get the bunny symbolism. I don't really get the symbolism of the rabbit.
I mean, I don't know, I can only guess.
It's creepy, but like, why that specifically? Why not a different mammal that you could also eat?
I mean, I was thinking rabbit because, they
live underground.
Well, okay, that's not what I was thinking. But,
wow, I forgot about that.
Well,
that might be part of it.
1, they live underground. 2, they, just from like a scientific point of view, which I know it wasn't exactly scientific, but they reproduce really quickly.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
They're small enough to have underground.
Yeah, to keep.
It's not like they're gonna have cows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And probably small enough that you could kill one and like give it to a person and without much effort have them just kind of eat it.
That's a good point. And the reproduction thing, that's why they would need to reproduce so quickly, is because they have to feed everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they feed the rabbits?
Other rabbits.
Alfalfa imports.
There's one more thing, but I don't really remember what it was now.
Sorry.
Okay, I guess I'll think of it and come back to you.
2 years.
Everything has 2 years, Shelby. Unless you've lost an ear or something. Or 2.
Now I'm trying to think of an animal that doesn't have 2 ears. Flounder?
I'm trying to think of another animal they could have eaten.
Flounders don't have ears. They're fish.
Don't fish have some sort of ear?
I think maybe they have holes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess a rabbit is like a viable source that's small and does reproduce quickly, but it's not too small. Like, it is kind of hard to think of another animal. But yeah, I guess I'm just saying that, like, it wasn't super clear. But then again, I like that because it's a little bit of a puzzle. I get to, like, mull it over in my head. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Hands Across America. Because none of us are old enough to know what that is. From what I understand, Hands Across America was a national movement to donate to people who are in need of food.
Okay.
It was like a starvation relief something. I don't know if it was like a fundraiser or what exactly. But I think the point is that when Addie gets kidnapped, that is like in her brain, because it's in the zeitgeist, right, of the 80s, and she's wearing the shirt, and that she kind of twists that over her years in captivity into like, this is how we're going to make our statement. And it's really interesting. I kind of wish we had, or like we knew somebody who had more of like the cultural knowledge around that, because I feel like they might be able to add more toward commentary. But for now, I'm just like, wow, that was a thing that existed, and then she has used that thing, and that is interesting. But
it also kind of explains why, when she asks who they are, she says we're Americans.
I love that line, and the way she says it is so fucking diabolical. And she's right; they are.
Yeah, that was my other question. Was this just happening in America?
Mm.
Because Hands Across America is specifically just across America, and also like how are these tunnels underneath the world? I guess that's what they say in the opening. Are they all connected? Like, is she able to connect with all of them?
I think she
Every
must be.
single other tether? Because I mean, obviously, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely. Like, we only really saw proof of it happening in Santa Cruz or like locally, in terms of like the news and them driving around. But I mean, if they had enough people to be like over the coastal hills, like they showed the last shot.
Yeah.
I mean,
wait a minute. The news on TV. How do we know that was local? Was there like? Oh, okay.
I'm just guessing, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I don't know. When I hear sewers, I just assumed it was like New York, but I guess it could be. I mean, who knows where it was?
So I have a question that I don't know has an answer. So the tethers follow everything their counterparts do in the real world, like physically, like do everything the counterparts do. So I don't really understand why Addie, when she goes into the tether, her tether doesn't do the same thing Addie does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. It's interesting.
And then they insinuate that Addie has to follow whatever the tether is doing once the tether goes, because the dance.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, and also like
Abraham
and having the children. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's something that I never quite. I don't know that there is like a solid like one-to-one explanation for it, because you're right. It doesn't quite make sense. And there's also not like. It's like they're sort of doing what the people upstairs are doing, but it doesn't seem like it's like
direct
a spatial correlation.
Yeah, because they're not. It's not like exactly the same. And also, I mean, if it was like, how could you get them to rally together and like put on these red suits and hold scissors like that?
Yeah, well, and that's the other thing is like, how did she manage to get them all to stop doing what their person was doing?
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, how did she... I mean, she got them all to understand speech, but none of them can... Or at least, like, signals
gestures.
or something. But she... Like, they still can't speak. What happened to the kid's face?
Yeah. I think it was implied... I think it was supposed to look like burns, which it kind of did to me. Like, your flesh will, like, melt. So I think it was supposed to be that he had, like, burned himself on accident.
I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to give him too much credit. I felt when we were watching the scene of her walking through Santa Cruz and all the tethered are underneath doing stuff, I thought it was less that they are required by some sort of natural law to follow what the people upstairs are doing, and more that it kind of just happens sometimes, but they, if they had a will, if they had a motivation to do something else, and they could, they just kind of do what people above are doing, because what the fuck else is there to do?
Yeah, I don't know, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt. I felt like it was supposed to be sort of like loose, like these are. I guess the question is like, do you see this movie as magical in any sense, or do you try and view the movie as like 100%? It has to be like scientifically explicable, and I think there is absolutely room for middle ground. And I also think that the movie doesn't like want you to come down on like one side really hard either way. But yeah, it's interesting. I guess I like the idea that they are sort of just like compelled to do those things, as opposed to like they have to physically, like they're like if I go like this, my tether has to go like this, right? But I like the idea that like my tether might twitch their arm because I'm doing that. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting. But what you were saying earlier about Addie. So, Addie says that her and her tether were born special. And I'm, like, not really sure. I mean, I guess that's probably true. But I like all of the decisions that they made as far as, like, Addie's the only one who can talk because she wasn't born there. But it does call into question. So something that I didn't quite totally pick up on the first time, probably because there were no subtitles, is the explanation of, like, this was originally an experiment conducted by the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so...
That they
That they abandoned,
abandoned.
which sounds like our government, does it not? And also that they were able to copy a body but not a soul.
Yeah.
Like, implication is that the tethered are, like...
Clones, literal clones.
But not specifically... She said generations. So they are, like, the great-great-grandchildren of clones.
Oh, the clones. Okay.
I think, is what the implication is.
But it's interesting to me because they say that they weren't able to clone the soul, but for some reason, when two people marry in the real world, they're tethered in the below world, which, like, you would think that what would tether them would be their souls being, like, connected. I guess it's just that their upstairs souls are being connected or whatever.
Yeah, that's what she said, was that it's 2 bodies, 1 soul. So if that's the connection, then I guess it would be consistent. But also, like, I mean, I guess, what happens if people don't get, like, does everybody do, oh my god. You have 6 kids with 5 different people. Do you have 6 kids with 5 different people if you're tethered?
Yeah.
If you're a tethered person?
Because I think to me, that was, like, one of the sadder parts about, I mean, it's all really sad, but that's the point, right? About Addie's story is that she says, it didn't matter whether I loved him or not.
Yeah.
I still had to have kids with him because you had kids with your prince.
Yeah.
So my point, though, was that if you take her, idea and you say, okay, all of the tethered do not have souls, and all of the people on Earth have souls, what the fuck is Addie? Which is what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Because her tethered, when she goes upstairs, she's virtually indistinguishable from a regular human.
She learns speech.
She can get married, she can do sports, she can have children, and nobody notices that she's, like, anything other than just a regular person.
And all the other tethereds just, like, twitch and grunt.
Yeah, so what is...
I guess that's what she's implying when she said we were born different.
I do, but I like the idea of what you're saying, of that, like, maybe Addie was born fucked up in some way. Yeah. And then when they switch, it makes, like, more sense. Yeah. But, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, it is an interesting... That was something I was thinking about on the rewatch. I was like, yeah, I mean, because... Again, I didn't fully understand everything the first time I watched it, so I was like, if this is magical, then, like, you know, what distinguishes them from real people? But, like, at least for Addie's tether, it does not. She, like, for all intents and purposes, she's just a regular person.
Hear me out. Okay. So, shattered soul, willing to murder hundreds of people. Shattered soul, she's Voldemort. I mean, like, go ahead.
I think that question is just, I don't know, sorry, not to be a downer, not to be a, what's that called, killjoy. I think that question is just what the end of the movie is wanting you to ask. Because that's what I think not every time, I've only seen it twice. The 2 times that I've watched her murder her tethered, I watched Addie murder her tethered, and by that I mean the tethered murder Addie.
Mm-hmm.
That is the question that I'm asking, is like, where is behavior coming from?
Yeah.
Like, is it purely like, I'm scared, I was really scared of you and now I'm really glad you're dead? Or is it like, is there some sort of like, urges that tethered have that humans don't have, and then I'm like, oh wait, they're human? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the question of that.
That laugh she did after she murdered
Oh my god.
Addie.
It's fucking
I was
horrifying.
like,
At that point, you are rooting for the person who's being murdered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that there's definitely an intent to have you, especially on rewatch, to be like, can you imagine if you were like 8 years old and you walked, I mean, we went to the boardwalk when I was that age, like, if I walked into that fucking place and
what are you about to say?
disappeared, I disappeared, and I was stuck underground for 30 years, and you guys were, like, for you guys it wouldn't be that different, but for me, I'd be pissed,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think that's the point, so it's like, yeah, you kind of like, especially on rewatch, you're like, well, who is the real villain here?
Yeah, the morality is so gray, and I think that's the point.
Completely intentional.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I need to go. There's, like, just hair all over my face.
Okay. But yeah, I don't know. I made the Voldemort joke, but also, like, is that a question we're supposed to be asking? That the fact that both her and her tether are capable of, like, human speech and love and blah, 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 but also they're both extremely capable of, murder. In cold blood. Well, I guess not cold blood, but...
Yeah. So that will bring us to, like, the main discussion of theme that I wanted to have. So let me...
Shelby's gonna judge me for my themes because I use one-word themes. And
That's not a theme. That's a topic.
Yeah, listen, I'm
You're
sorry.
a topic.
Sometimes I ask Shelby what the theme is, and she gives me things that are also not themes. I'm just saying, it's happened.
Oh my god, what are you... Slander! Slander!
All right.
Wait, I was gonna say something.
Oh, sorry.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Sorry.
Hold on. What the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, I think that's what the dancing scene is supposed to... the first time I watched the dancing scene, I was so, like, in awe that I didn't think at all about what it was for.
It's so good.
And this
The
time
music.
I realized, like, you're supposed to be trying to figure out if they're gonna get mixed up.
Oh.
Like
Oh.
obviously they can't because they're wearing the same outfits, but also, are they not mixed up?
I mean,
they are mixed up. What?
Different outfits? It doesn't matter.
They're wearing different outfits. So you feel like you're confident. Oh yeah, okay, that's the one I'm rooting for. But, like, the lighting is weird, and they're both dancing and making really weird movements and, like, trying to kill each other. And so it's really, like, the idea that, like, it really doesn't, like, matter anymore, almost.
The symbolism of, like, which one am I rooting for? Oh, that one. But wait, are you? Is that the one you're supposed to be rooting for right now?
Yeah.
Yes. Crazy.
Alright, so theme. This was something that we struggled with the first time we watched it. The first time we watched... Okay. You watch Get Out, and it's different than any other horror movie that I've ever watched. Especially given, like, the tones, the strong, like, social justice discussions of racism tones, right? Which I love, and that's sort of Jordan Peele's signature. So going into this, you're kind of wondering, like, what is the commentary, right? And the first time we watched it, I was like, I don't really get it. Like, I'm not sure that I get, especially since I personally was very distracted about, like, the details of, like, how this works, because it's hard to, like, fully get it, right? Even after multiple watching, it's still, like, I don't know. But I think the point is not necessarily that so much. Having said all that, what I got, and I picked up on this the first time, but this time I really was, like, looking for it. And I think that, now I'm concerned about being judged on whether
I'm not gonna judge.
Okay, so I picked up on the theme essentially of, like, scarcity. Specifically, like, if you have something, that means there is another person who does not have that thing. Down to your soul. Like, everything is, like, shared. And although I think there's a lot to be said about, like, whether that scarcity actually exists in the real world, or whether it's, like, what's that term? Not implied. Manufactured scarcity. There's a lot to be said about that, but I think the point of the movie is more, like, just awareness that, like, whatever you have, other people don't have it. And also that, like, there's a lot of people who just don't have things and suffer, and we just don't even notice. Yeah. So, okay, so my point being, to go back to where we were, I think that the question of, like, is Addie's tether evil? Is Addie evil? Like, what is happening there? I think the question is supposed to be, or not even, I guess it's not even a question. The implication is that when resources are that scarce, humans will do anything to be able to have them. Because we have to, or we die. So, I think the point is, like, and this is a theme that I love dearly, which is that we're all capable of that. And so, like...
Love to be reminded that I can fucking murder someone.
Yeah. And so it's kind of a question of, like, you know, I mean, that is just humanity. It's like we're all capable of murdering other people in cold blood or otherwise if we need to survive. Yeah. Sort of nihilistic. But, and you notice there's, like, there's scenes where that's explicit. Like, on the rewatch, I noticed, so Gabe keeps, like, adjusting his glasses, and his tether keeps, like, adjusting glasses that he doesn't have. And then at one point, he picks up Gabe's glasses and puts them on. And you're like, oh, there's only one pair of glasses. One of these, they both need them. Only one of them gets to have it. Like, which one gets to have it? Yeah. And
my
it's not
tether can have my glasses because I have my contacts.
And it's not a question of, like...
She's all, I can share things with my tether.
it's not a question of, like, morally deserving. I think that's the point of Addie, right? Is that, like, we would think of her as the good guy in the sense that, like, she was born up here. But who determines, like, you know, just where you're born means that you get the thing?
Certain
right?
privileges?
Yes,
Huh?
yeah.
Well, that's what I was just thinking, and it just occurred to me as you were talking, is that until Addie creates the plan and they get the jumpsuits and the weapons and go up to the surface, we see them as surface people. We're like, oh shit, these red people are coming toward me, and they're gonna fucking stab me. But up until then, they don't do anything wrong. The only thing that's wrong about them is that they don't talk, and they move really weirdly. Which is, like, all things that are, like, freaky, but not wrong.
No.
Like, not, like, doesn't make you evil.
And honestly, if I was one of the tethered, there's probably an argument to be made about free will, since they don't seem to have their own, like, cognizance, but if you were...
Well, Addie does.
Yeah, who would... If we were tethered, which one of us would be like, no, we shouldn't do that?
Oh my god, wait, what if we're tethered and there's a better world?
Oh my god.
What if the Upside Down is better than this world?
I don't think that... I feel like it's kind of problematic to imply that this is that bad.
It's not.
But... but I do
But I'm
like
just
the
saying,
idea...
What if the Upside Down was a utopia?
I like the idea that we're living... I constantly say we live in the worst timeline.
I'll just stay here.
It's fine.
It sucks, but it's fine.
But yeah, imagine if it was...
I don't want to kill for it.
Imagine if it was bad enough that we were only allowed to eat raw rabbits.
Well, we have to kill them, too.
Okay, we're only allowed to eat the rabbits that we murder. And then we have to eat them raw. And wriggling. And there's no Lord of the Rings, so I can't even quote that. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that, like, I think that the moral side of it is like, super twisted, which is totally my thing, because it's like, yeah, if that was me, I would absolutely, like, rise up and kill these motherfuckers. Like, they don't even know I'm here, and I'm just, like, miserable. And also, you could argue, like, a sense of freedom if they are literally tethered. Like, if they cannot do things, if they don't have free will because of whatever the person that they're tethered to, murdering that person gives you free will.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering, I was like, when we got to the very end and we had Addie's reveal for a second there, because at that point I was pretty convinced that my initial gut instinct had been wrong, and that Addie really was Addie. I was wondering if, now that she'd killed her tether, was she going to be, like, have her whole soul? Was she going to change and suddenly have the tethered memories? That's kind of what I was seeing when we first, that's what was running through my mind when we first started seeing the flashbacks of her, replacing herself with the real Addie. And then pretty quickly I was like, oh, no, that's not what's happening. So I guess I was wondering if, like, maybe the people on the above world have most of the soul, and then the people in Upside Down have, like, partial part of a soul. I don't know.
It's interesting. I love the implication that you kind of see throughout that Jason knows that what his mom is, and especially at the end, he's just, like, looking at her.
Puts his mask on.
Yeah, and
oh
he
my
has
God,
a bunny
he
in
puts
his
mask on.
Yeah, and he has a bunny in his lap. Did you notice that?
No.
He took one of the bunnies. Yeah, I was like, that's weird. He just took one of them.
Oh my God.
Or they're all just gonna fucking die down there.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to me because, like, I didn't put it together the first time, but I realized that at some point they must have just, like, let them out of the cages. Because they're not supposed to be running around. They're supposed to be in the cages in the classroom. So, yeah, they must have just, like, opened all the cages.
Freedom.
Well, they were like, we're leaving now, so we can just let all these.
We don't need to eat you anymore.
We can eat real food now.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say, but...
That is kind of a really good way to write a villain, is to have their motivation be really quite sound.
Extremely compelling, yes. Yeah, but it's interesting, because the first time I watched it, at the end, when you realize that our Addie is the tethered Addie, at least for me, there definitely was a sense of, like, betrayal.
Yeah.
Which I know is insane, because, like, obviously she's a fictional character, and again, we've established that, like, there's nothing morally wrong about the tethered, but you do kind of have the sense of, like, otherness, like, she's like a changeling, like, she's not supposed to be there. But there's no, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, like, what does she do? Besides replace Abby, what does she do? She protects her fucking family.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, that's my thought, is like, oh shit, what is this person capable of? Because she was born in the underworld and stuff, and then you're like, oh well, she did murder 2 people, but so did the other one.
Yeah. And so did all of her family too.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, I think we were like shouting during the kill count scene, which I thought was really funny.
It is really funny.
But I think that's like it's heavily implied, right? That like, and I think that they do a good job of showing like when Zora has to kill, that she's like very much impacted by it. But yeah, I don't know.
She also has that scene where she murders the twin. And she keeps hitting her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think
she has to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's implied that, like, she has kind of lost it because she's afraid.
Okay, yeah.
And I think during that exact scene is when we were talking about, like, would you be able to kill somebody, like, in that scenario? And I have always been like, yeah, I probably could. And I'd probably lose my shit like that. Like, I'd just start hitting and I wouldn't be able to stop because I'd be so afraid.
I would just barf everywhere.
I'd be so afraid and so, like,
Popped up on adrenaline.
yeah, but also, like, self-preserving. It's not even that late. What the hell's wrong with me? That I'd be like, I absolutely cannot allow this person to get up. They have to die right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the fear would be a strong driver for me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many things I want to say. I don't even know where to start.
The score is so good.
Every single bit of it. Like,
And
the
it's
classical score, the soundtrack score.
Yeah, it's so, like,
Fuck
well
the police.
implemented.
Yeah.
Even the song at the end, I was reading the lyrics about, like, the flowers, like, inside of everyone there's beauty and power. I was like, oh my god! Ah!
Yeah. This is the kind of horror movie that I really, really love because there's a lot to it. There's a lot of, like, layers to it. There's a lot to unpack. It's, like, holds up on rewatch. And I also like, you know, kind of a cheesy, like, dumb thriller horror movie, but these are the kind of horror movies that really do it for me because they're just so complex.
Yeah.
There's a story, and there's commentary. There's something early on, I wish I could remember, where I was like, oh, that is commentary, but now I can't remember.
On rewatch, I thought it was really interesting watching everything from tethered Addie's perspective and the fear that she has.
Of
Because-
real Addie.
Yes. Can you imagine? You know, the person that you fucked over is just waiting for you to show back up.
And is, like, highly intelligent.
Yeah. They
And
can
is
come
as
for you.
intelligent as everyone you've come to meet.
Yeah. They can come for you,
Compared
dude.
to, like, all the other
I'd be
tethers.
fucking horrified too. I would never want to go to the beach house. No. No.
I think that's probably why you were asking why the white family was like they were murdered so quickly. And I think that's probably why because Addie was like, I want to be intentional about this, and I guess like
Makes sense.
trained her
Well,
family.
And I was thinking the whole time through that I was like, Addie's tethered family, and by that I mean like all the people in red, including real Addie, are gonna fucking lose because they want to make it long and arduous.
This is too personal.
Because that's kind of how it always is, usually. But I didn't realize until, obviously, the very end that I maybe wanted that to happen. Wanted her to win. I don't know. Not really.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. I know what you mean.
She's really freaky.
She's
she's
so
fucking
freaky.
terrifying.
That voice. And I think the first time, like, the performance is so good, but also you go, what the fuck happened to her to make her sound like that? That's horrifying.
Well, you mean like at the beginning? Like when we first hear her, or the very end once we realize that they switched?
I mean, when they show up at the house and she
Okay.
tells the story,
Yeah.
and, like, on rewatch, or, like, you know, the first time I watched it, afterwards I was thinking about it, and I was like, whoa, that was, she's the only tethered who talks, right?
Yeah.
Tethered.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're like, oh, maybe they all sound like that, but no!
Yeah, they all just grunt.
Yeah, she should have a, like, quote-unquote normal voice, but she does not. Why does she not?
Well,
What the fuck happened to her?
because her tether choked her.
I mean, yeah, I thought that's what they were implying at the end, but, like, I don't think that medically holds up. Like, I feel like...
Hey, I'm sorry, none of this medically holds up.
I thought part of it
Where
was...
did they get their clothes? Where did the
know.
tethereds get their... Where did they get all those scissors?
Where do they get the alfalfa from?
That's what I'm saying. None of this is medically, scientifically sound. Okay, honey, thank you.
I thought, also not medically sound, but I thought that it was like basically she hadn't used her voice in like 20 years because no one else talks, so who does she have to talk to?
Oh, I like that idea too.
So she just sounds creaky like an old house.
My question is, how did she like learn to communicate with all the tethers?
Yeah.
It is like the soul. I mean, we would need to have a really long talk about what a soul accomplishes. Like, what does a soul give to a
I
human?
don't believe in souls, so we're already pretty fucked there.
Yeah. But I was like, I mean, if a society of humans were underneath the ground, I'm sure that they would be, like, even if they don't have much, they're intelligent enough and, like, they have, like language. You know, like, language develops the way, naturally with humans.
Well,
so.
they do, right? Because.
Oh, you're right, they have, like, a shrieking sound.
Yeah, they were shrieking to each other. From the boat, Dad
Yeah.
was shrieking to White Guy.
Yeah, you're right.
So I guess that's what it is. It's
Bonkers. So I guess she learned their language.
Yeah. And she does like the clicks and the
She
snaps
adapted
and
it
stuff.
to the clicks and the.
Interesting.
Kind of wish that was developed a little bit more.
Oh my god! I remember what it was. Not the I was wrong. Have you read The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas?
No.
By Ursula K. Le Guin.
No.
It's basically this story. Like,
oh my god.
like almost to a T.
Spoiler.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's alright.
It's a short story.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I
Cool.
guess that helps.
Yeah.
You'll only be spoiled for 10 minutes while you read it.
Yeah.
You should read it. It's extremely good. I almost have my kids read it.
I'm
But
gonna read it.
It's like a little
I
bit
love
too dark.
Ursula K. Le Guin.
It's basically this story. I mean, there's like the ending is different and like, so it's like, it's a little bit different, but it has very similar like themes and honestly concepts. Like, I would be really surprised if he had never read it.
She was
setting.
like a goddess of
Science fiction.
Yeah. And also her writing was just like phenomenal. But yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. I'll have to look that up. That's dope.
Everybody read it. It's called The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas.
Can you spell that?
Omelas.
There's an E in it? Okay.
Omelas. Okay, so wait, hold on. Can we talk about the like we're all white, so this might get a little problematic, but we'll try our best. Can we talk about the like usage of like the main characters being all black and like I'm trying to think of what I'm talking about, symbolism there, and like the commentary there.
Yeah, I mean, I think as an avid horror watcher, there's definitely a conversation to be had about, well, we're talking about like resources and resource scarcity. I think there's absolutely a conversation to be had about race and also class and how that goes into it. Just in terms of like the horror genre though, what I really like about Jordan Peele is that this movie specifically, like, I think that the choice to cast a black family is just purely like, let's have more representation. Because I hate using the word normally, but like, normally that family would have been white and the friend's family would have been black, right?
Yeah.
So I love that is switched, and I love the idea that like anybody can star in a horror movie and it can be about any family, and it doesn't matter, and it's better that you get more representation of people of color, especially in genres where they very frequently get the shaft.
Yeah.
Having said that, I want more Jordan Peele content.
Yeah.
Because it's been a while since the movie came out. I know it's only been like a year. Are you sure it was 2019?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I believe you.
It's like a year and a half.
Yeah, it feels like a long time.
It was.
I need a new Jordan Peele movie every fucking year. Although, to be fair, I did not watch Get Out until I think like 2018, so that may be why. I didn't have to wait this long between movies. But anyway.
We didn't talk that much about Get Out.
No, we
also
didn't.
Phenomenal.
It's also really good.
I have something to say. I think something that I'm thinking about as we're talking is a question of what is the goal of representation? And in the same way that we talk about like assimilation, like is the goal of representation to put diverse people in movies so that we can have like the same kind of movies as straight white cis people? Like, is that the goal? Is it to make them see us? Is it to, or I shouldn't say them and us because, well, title drop roll credits, but also, I'm white. Like, is it to make the major culture see the counterculture? Is it to incorporate the counterculture into the main culture? And I think that normally the goal like, for assimilation, the goal isn't to become like other people, it's to just be able to be yourself. Which maybe representation is one way to get there, but I don't think it's the only way.
Yeah.
I think representation, that's what I think. It's like, it's less a question of representation and more a question of, like, the story writing.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she's Latinx and she's in theater, and she was telling me about how she just doesn't really like more traditional musicals because she can't relate to them in any way, and
she can't relate to being a ballet dancer in a French theater in the 1600s and being lured by the ghost of her father to the sewers on a horse.
5'10", 110 pounds, white, straight,
brunette.
She can't relate to
Soprano.
being in the French Revolution.
Yeah.
The June Revolution.
So I guess that could maybe be another standard of representation, maybe like a more like simplified standard of representation is, can I see myself in this character whether or not their story specifically discusses their, race or gender or sexuality or size.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm not black, but I could imagine that this is far more relatable than it would be to be like putting a black person in the lead of Oklahoma or something.
Mm.
Which, I'm only ever using musical references, but...
Yeah, I don't know how to think about Oklahoma, but I believe you.
Anyway,
white people
so
say it.
I assume that this movie is maybe slightly more relatable to a black person than, like, City Slickers would be. Which, those are both very far-fetched examples, and I don't think anyone can relate to either of these because no one's ever had the exact same version of them come up and try to murder them, or has ever gone out into the country and ride on a horse for no fucking reason.
Unless you're a horse girl.
Anyway, this failed. I tried.
Immediately after I watched Us, I was like, I like Get Out better. Only because it's more of a tighter story. Like, it doesn't quite take as much of the, like, mental gymnastics. Mm-hmm. But I think I like this one better upon multiple watches because of the puzzle element of it. Because it's so, like, wow, there's a lot there to, like, unpack. Mm. But I really like both, and I think they are very different.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
Very good movie.
I think I've only seen Get Out once, but I think I do like this better. Like Us better. And I don't know, like, it's very possible for when I watch Get Out again, that I'll reconsider. But I think a lot of what I like about this is just aesthetic. Mm. I'm an air sign. I just think it's really beautifully made, even though it is horror. And, like, every shot is really, like, important. Very pretty. And really well done. The acting is incredible. The soundtrack is amazing. And, like, I'm sure all that could be said for Get Out, too. It just also, I just like the scope, and I'm willing to, like, do you know what Jordan Peele's sign is? Being myself, I am willing to, like, not ask questions and forget about all the, like, kinks in the story if it tells a cool story. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. And I think there are a few plot archetypes that are as compelling as, like, the revenge plot. Yeah. And when you watch this over again, you're like, this is a revenge movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm fucking here for it, dog.
Like, it really is.
Yeah.
It's also really funny.
It's so funny. There's so many times I was laughing. Yeah, it's very funny. The other thing that I liked about this was that when the trailers came out, it sort of it did hint that, like, the intruders were them. Mm-hmm. So there was, like, a layer of, like, what the fuck? But it also sort of marketed itself as, like, just kind of like a home invasion. Mm-hmm. And so it was really nice when I remember you saying when we were watching today that, like, it was like 15 minutes in and the home invasion's already happening. And Emily's like, what the fuck? Where's the rest of the movie gonna be? Mm-hmm. Like, this is already happening. And you're like, I like that twist on the home invasion genre, which is one of my favorites of horror. And the twist of it's like, it is that, but also, it's also this other thing that you would never fucking expect in a movie.
Never. Never. Yeah. The home invasion is like a really good scene, though.
Oh yeah, it's really creepy. I remember that shot where they're all standing hand in hand for a long time, and then finally they move, and I remembered that shot, and I was waiting for it.
Oh, they're fucking standing
hand in hand.
Yeah. He starts crawling, the sun starts crawling, and
And this is
They all
like,
go in a different direction.
yes, and it's fucking, and it's simultaneous. It's so creepy. Yeah.
It just occurred to me that the guy holding the Jeremiah 11:11 sign, yes, it was for us, but also he's holding a Jeremiah 11:11 sign. Like if I was walking around Santa Cruz and I was like, oh, I'm gonna look that up. Oh fuck,
Jesus.
this guy.
Stay the fuck away from him. Yeah.
Well, can we get the story about him?
You expect him to be, because I assume he's homeless or whatever. Like he looks like he's poor, so you expect it to be like, give to people, or like the hungry shall be my beloved, or whatever the fuck that says.
Instead, it's like terror will rain down upon you and your family.
Bringing evil upon them. Yeah. I think that's dope, though. It's one of my favorite things is like a Bible verse that's horrifying as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great one. And of course, he picked it for the symbolism of the 11:11, but also it like perfectly encapsulates what's going on in the movie.
So she wants the number 11. The thriller shirt is number 11.
Oh my god!
11:11, 1-1. Oh my god.
What do you mean 1-1?
1-1.
One and one.
The double.
The duality.
Yeah, yes.
I didn't even think about
And 11:11.
Mm-hmm.
Even more duality.
Yeah. There's a lot of that kind of stuff in it. It's really, really great.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that's like little things that are really tied together, like the thing with Jason's double liking his like toy, clicker toy. I don't remember. There was just a lot.
And he's got his matches.
That I just barely anticipated.
Yeah, one thing I definitely didn't catch the first time through is that Addie's toy is a bunny.
Yeah.
And she cuts off the head and it's a bunny rabbit. Yeah.
I saw
like,
that.
I was like, woo, that's a good little detail in there.
Something that this may be kind of dumb, but I didn't realize the first time we watched it, is that the place where Addie, as we know her, kills the tethered is at their bed.
Mm-hmm.
The bed that they share.
That she chained her to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She chains
Oh my
her.
God.
She handcuffs her.
Mm-hmm.
She handcuffs her.
Yeah.
The tethered handcuffs her to the bed, and then Addie tethers. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Spent the whole movie handcuffed. That's fucking bonkers.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. I forgot about that until I saw, again, her handcuffing her, and then I was like, oh shit! Forgot about this.
There was one thing that I was gonna say was, it was really interesting when we were watching the final fight scene between Addie and Addie, where it was like just before the dance sequence sort of started when she like kicked the desk at her, and she caught it with her foot, and I was like, she knows everything she's gonna do because she spent 8 years of her life copying everything Addie's doing. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it also seemed like they were saying that they had like sort of like a psychological or even supernatural connection, like they knew where they would be.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting too.
Well, yeah, because Addie's tether says that. She says they think like us. They know where we are.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because she is the tethered. So
yeah.
she knows.
Yeah.
She's like, they think like I. I'm like, you think like you.
Yeah.
I also thought it was really cool the fact that she says, like, I really need to sit down and read all of her dialogue.
All of them.
All of Addie's dialogue. But, like, she says that, like, she says, I saw God when we were dancing.
Mm.
Which I thought was, I don't know, maybe this is out of left field, but I thought it was kind of like, dancing is an art form, and art is kind of one of the most intrinsically human things that we have. And so it's like a connection that she had to something that's, like, beautiful and art and expressive that the tethered wouldn't necessarily have. Which, I'm saying, if a human society was left alone to their own devices, they would create art and language anyway.
But
are they human?
Well, I would argue that they are human, but I would also argue that in the canon, they don't have souls.
Oh, yeah,
or they don't have
right.
complete souls.
They don't
right?
have, like, their Sims autonomy is turned down to, like, 2.
They're like, there's a teddy bear in front of the fridge, I guess I'll die today.
So, like, that is her connection to, like, yeah, I guess the part of her that's a soul, and that is what woke up, like, her free will and stuff. But she can't possibly be the only one who's danced. We know that Addie is not the only dancer in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's a matter of like, actual Addie had always wanted to dance or something. Maybe that's why her parents picked that for her, and then she was put into the upside down, and then her tethered danced. I don't know. It's interesting to me though. I feel like I didn't pick up on a lot of the dancing things because it was one of the more understated foreshadowing things. So when Kitty talks to Addie about why she stopped dancing, I should have been paying more attention to that. Obviously, I didn't know. But, like, whenever I go back to watch this again, I think that's going to be one of the things I pay attention to, because I wish I had caught more about the symbolism of Tether Addie. Does she, like, I don't know, she, like, stops dancing because she knows?
She peaked at 14.
And she slaps her thigh.
But she, like, dances, but she's, like, laughing about that. She's joking, right?
Yeah.
I think the implication was just that, like, she literally wasn't physically... Because ballet, like, unlike a lot of other sports, you have to have, like, a very specific physique for it. But I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting question to, like, go look at.
We need to talk about the names.
Yeah.
The names of the tethered.
Yeah. So, the daughter is Umbre, which is like umbral, which is a type of shadow.
Ooh.
The father is Abraham, which is another like
biblical
reference.
Yeah, where you're like, what the fuck does that mean?
Because his name's Gabriel.
Yeah. And also,
Which is also biblical.
who named him that? Because they don't talk. So, like, how do you...
She named them.
Proper nouns and...
Oh my god.
Emily's face.
Never do that again, please. Please never.
Yeah, so Abraham, what is I mean, none of us are versed enough in the Bible to know anything. I think it was the father of, like, a lot
Abraham
of people.
is the God's name. The God. You know those people who have the God? His name is Abraham. Like
What?
The Christian God. What is that family of religion called?
Yahweh?
Yes. Judaism, Islam, and Christianity all have the same God historically, and his name was Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Sons of Abraham.
Father.
Fuck.
I guess maybe that's why she named him that. Father.
Yeah.
He's the father.
I don't remember. What was the kid's name? The boy?
I don't remember either. I don't know if he had one.
He had one.
He had a name.
He had one. I'm gonna, I'll mute it, and then I'm gonna play the credits again so we can look at all of them. Because some of them are really interesting.
I was trying to figure out if there was a correlation.
Yeah, I think one of them was Io, which is a Greek goddess. And I don't know what that would mean, but I love that kind of shit, so. I mean, as a writer, that's the kind of stuff that you pay attention to that. I mean, if you're doing your job right. Alright. Adelaide's tethered is red.
Okay, so which one is which? Which one are they referring to?
That's a really good point.
Is real Adelaide red, and tethered is Adelaide?
I mean,
Because that's what we refer to her the whole movie as?
the given name was given to the girl who was born on the surface.
But
so.
why would we call the tethered red? Because she was the real Addie was wearing red for the whole thing.
Also,
That's her name.
she wouldn't have had a name, right? Because nobody else. Real Adelaide gave everyone the names. So did she call her tethered red?
I guess. But why would you call her red?
I don't know. Interesting.
I'm assuming that real Addie is red because she's wearing red.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me.
Nobody calls her that because none of the other tethers can speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, Gabe is Abraham. Kitty, which is the white lady, is Dahlia. Dahlia's interesting. Josh is Tex. Like Texas?
What does that mean?
Tix.
Zora is Umbre, which means a type of shadow. Jason, Pluto. That's what it is. Pluto.
Oh.
Yeah, the god of the underworld. Roman.
Oh.
Or the planet. Microplanet, whatever. Russell?
Wait,
Who the fuck is Russell?
Who's Jason?
Jason is the son.
Russell Thomas?
Oh, Josh is the
Russell's
husband.
her dad. Her dad. Oh, yeah. Her dad. And then his tether's name is Wayland, apparently.
Oh, because they're you see them. We see
Yeah,
them.
at the very end.
Rain must be her mom.
Mom.
Eartha. I don't know. Becca and Lindsay.
Are
Oh,
the
yeah.
twins.
Okay, so Becca and Lindsay are the twins. Their names are Io and Nyx. Those are Greek goddesses. One of them is Night, and I don't remember what Io is. Young Red, Teenage Red.
Which are both Adelaides.
Dr.
But
Foster.
still doesn't refer to which one is which.
Yeah. Dawn. Ferdy. Who the fuck is Ferdy? These must all just be people who are, like, so minor.
Around, yeah.
Which I like that. I like a cast that is very small. Which
Hey, what's
basically, speaking roles is just like these ones.
What's the Bible verse?
Jeremiah. Yeah. Maybe
So that must be the homeless
the guy
man.
with the That's interesting.
What's with the names? Jordan Peele, what's with the names? Explain that to me!
Explain!
But this is implying that unless Addie or Red or whoever the fuck named all of these people, this is implying that they have names. Like, did she name all those minor characters? Jeremiah, Tony, Brand, and Jack?
I mean, it wouldn't shock me because she had to communicate with all of them to get them all on board.
Where did she learn the names of Greek goddesses? Io and Nyx. I never even heard of those.
She goes into the tether when she's 8. Where the fuck did she learn all that?
That's what I'm asking you.
Why are you asking me?
I don't know, you seem pretty smart.
You've seen it twice!
Do they have books?
That is something, when I see the classroom, that really freaks me out.
Like, what are they doing in there?
Like, who was teaching them at one point?
Well, the idea, I guess, wouldn't it be that the government realized that they couldn't clone the soul, but they were trying to teach them to still be what they wanted them to be?
Creepy.
Which, I don't know, I feel like...
Why the fuck was the government trying to make puppets out of every single American?
That's a really good question.
She just said, like, to control the people above.
Like puppets, but why?
I mean, we're already controlled.
True. By our circumstances. It's such an American thing to do, though. Like, as an audience, I feel like we all watch this and we're like, yeah.
That's the least
out.
objectionable thing in this whole fucking movie.
Is that America would do
Most
that, yeah.
accurate thing, yeah.
Hands Across America, maybe the commentary there is like, instead of actually helping and feeding people who need help, we're just gonna stand around and hold hands. Like, do something like a kind of a gesture, a meaningless gesture, which is all the tethered can really aspire to because they don't have souls and they don't know what else to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would really love to have somebody who was around for that and could explain to us in, like, an educated way, which I don't know who the fuck that would be. Like, how that went, who was involved, did it work? You know, because if it was sort of just like a meaningless marketing gesture, then that would fit so well with this, because it's like, look what you did for us. You did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can only assume that it didn't work considering how many hungry people there are.
I know, right?
That would be my guess. I think I tried looking it up, that it was just like a campaign, like a TV campaign or something.
There's so many unanswered questions that I just feel like I should just refrain from asking because they're all just like plot hole questions. Like, if they're normal humans, how did they not die from malnutrition?
Why are they like fully grown instead of like stunted?
Belly brown. Why are they fat? I know they're supposed to be reflections of their upper world self, but if they're just normal humans, it just don't make no sense. Where do they get their clothes?
I mean, honestly, like, yeah, there's a lot to pick apart with it. Because, like, okay, if we believe Addie that their generations, like, the original clones were made, and then there are generations that were not clones, they were just, like, results of the breeding. Even though the originals were clones, the ones that came later would not necessarily be identical to the ones that are upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Because genes are random.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of, like, requires some sort of supernatural something to be involved.
Yeah.
To make sense.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, like, that's where I'm like, if there's no way that there's, like, if we're going with the concept of souls, there's no way that there is absolutely zero amount of soul in the tethered from the people in the upper world. Because if the soul is the link, right?
Yeah, and she did say it's shared.
She didn't say, like, we have the soul and they don't. She just said, like, it's shared. And I guess if, like, I mean, that's the thing, is, like, we could talk about a lot of that. Like, what is a soul? Where does it come from? What feeds it?
Where did it come from?
Because if it gets fed by, like,
where did it go? Where did it come from?
happiness.
Soul I go.
You know what feeds my soul?
Popcorn. But all of that to be said, this is peak ear sign of me. I don't care about any of the inconsistencies. Beautiful movie.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me think. It makes me ask questions.
I like that.
I like that too.
I'm gonna admit, I did have a moment toward the middle of the movie where I kind of, like, looked over and I was like, I don't know if Emily's gonna handle this because she has, like, 0 air in her chart. She's gonna be like, explain! Which is what you say at the end of almost every movie that we've ever watched.
Alright, final thoughts on Jordan Peele?
Great.
Final thoughts are: I want to see more Jordan Peele movies. I want to see.
Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for Candyman. Candyman, I've never seen the original, but it is a slasher film wherein the slasher is a black guy, and that's like unheard of. And so Jordan Peele is rebooting that, and I feel like it'll be really cool. I always like appreciate what goes on in that dude's mind. You know, I'm always like, what the fuck is he gonna come up with next? This is some crazy shit.
I would like to see him make Octavia Butler's Kindred into a movie.
Ooh.
It is not horror. Well,
Is it sci-fi?
it's pretty horrific. It's
Anyway, great movie.
Very good
Phenomenal,
movie.
loved it.
Super creepy, very scary.
Horrifying.
Lots of really creepy parts that were really great.
did not overly do the jump scares.
No, I don't even know.
I can't really think of an example of what a jump scare.
Is there one where like Pluto shows up in a window, kinda? I don't know if that was a jump scare specifically, but definitely not overly reliant on them, which is something I hate. So thank God.
Or at the very least, the jump scares weren't like the traditional like jumping from behind a door. It was like we're holding hands and then we snap and then the kids run off.
Yeah, yeah.
Or one of them's climbing a tree or.
Anyway, love Jordan Peele. These are good movies. Glad we got to watch them. Glad we talked Emily into watching another horror movie.
Glad we're done with the horror movies of the year.
Wait, I do have a final thought. When we first watched this movie, we came out of the theater, and one of the things that we talked about was the twist ending, and we said, I don't know about the rewatchability factor of this movie.
So much better.
It is excellent.
It's amazing.
I watched this movie a million times.
There's so many layers to be like, oh shit.
And it's just an entertaining movie, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
It's great to watch again.
Good times.
Call it.
Cut it.
Worth it.
It's cut.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Good night.